and welcome to Charts and Hearts. I'm Sarah, and she's Lindsay.
And together we're working our way through an epic list of rom-coms in order to find and categorize tropes in the hopes of creating the nerdiest spreadsheet podcasts have ever seen.
And today we're wrapping up our, air quotes, good Netflix movies month with the first one filmed in New Zealand, Falling in Love.
Two ends.
Two ends. Yes.
Man, this movie is so good.
Yeah, like it did not need to be this good.
No, right? Like it's way better than you would, like if you pitched to someone, they would be like, that sounds like a sketchy Hallmark movie. Because it is, like the basic scaffolding, right?
Yeah. But it's very well done.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so this is, shall I do a quick, very quick plot summary? Okay. This is Christina Milian, who, what's she from?
I don't know. Something. Her name is very similar to Christina Milioti, or who is the
maybe
mother? That's
what I think. She's been in a lot of various, like, mostly things. Christmas movies. Mm-hmm. I think she like, she has music videos on her IMDb, so I think she also had a music career.
Okay.
But anyways, so she's an American. She's a architect-ish type person.
Never disclosed. She likes renewable energy, and that's it.
Like green buildings and such. And and then she loses her job in San Francisco, and at the same time also wins a contest to win an inn in rural New Zealand. The inn looks amazing. Everything's great. She also has a asshole boyfriend that she breaks up with and then goes to New Zealand. So anyway, so she flies to New Zealand, takes forever to get to this teeny tiny town, and then the inn is not as described. It is dilapidated, completely falling apart. There's a goat living in the closet. None of the plumbing works. There's holes in the roof, etc., etc. And she eventually decides that she wants to fix up, she decides she wants to fix up the inn, and I don't know, sort of falls in love with that. And in the meantime, there's a guy who at first she meets on the side of the road because her rolling suitcase almost hits his car, or does hit his car, and then they sort of don't get along, and then turns out he's the local general contractor mad about town who's obviously incredibly attractive. And then the two of them end up deciding to renovate the inn together, and during the course of that they find mysterious love letters in the walls of the house, which don't really have any bearing on the movie, and they fall in love, obviously. Yeah. The ex-boyfriend gets invited to town by the busybody other inn owner, and they break up, but then they get back together, and everything's great. And there's no immigration problems whatsoever.
Nope, none at all. Everything's totally fine.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So obviously watched this movie when it came out, and a few times since then.
Yeah, I think because it was 2019 sometime, so I definitely watched it when it came out, and then at least once during COVID, maybe more than that. Because it's adorable. Kiwi-ness is what makes it. We were just chatting before we hit record of just like so much of the plot and the cheesy lines that people say. Small town quirkiness would be really cheesy if it was American.
Yes.
But they're Kiwis and they pull it off because Kiwis are magical.
They are. And also the actors, like even the small actors are really good. Yeah. And I think that's part of it. Like it all feels very natural. Nobody's overacting or trying too hard.
Yeah.
So the main guy is played by an Australian, but I think he has actually lived in New Zealand. But I'm sure that was controversial in New Zealand.
I'm sure it was a whole thing.
Because, but he is very attractive.
Dreamy.
Yeah. Okay,
so let me just start with, how did she get the email to win this contest? Like, the sketchiness of this entire thing is huge. But
the contest clearly was a scam because it was somebody trying to
get rid of their thing. She had to write like a 400-word thing. Like, it was so short.
Yeah, she had to write a short thing and pay an entry fee and then enter to win the thing. Yeah.
So she gets it in an email, and then they send another email, at least one more, like a reminder for today's the last day.
Oh, I was assuming that those were like Instagram ads.
No, they're in her inbox.
Oh.
Yeah. And as a person who deals with email marketing, I can tell you that America has really, really loose, sketchy ass email rules. And so they could just email anybody, but it's still weird. And if I got an email, even if I lived in America and wasn't protected by our spam laws, if I got an email that was like win it in New Zealand from an email that I didn't know, I would report it as spam and block it.
Maybe the first one might have been on Instagram or something. The first time that she saw it. And then she like filled in a form and then got sent the information. I don't know. Anyway,
but then she wins, and then it still continues to be sketchy.
Oh yeah, because she just flies to New Zealand. I mean, she does have a return flight, which, as I know, is required to have when you enter New Zealand. Like, they don't let you just come on a tourist visa with no return flight. But yeah, the fact that she just like everything about this, like she didn't have to like meet with a lawyer and sign something.
Yeah, and like later she's like, I'm applying for my entrepreneurship visa so I can build it up. And I was like, okay, but what was the plan before? So you flew to New Zealand on a tourism visa, we assume. And the reason that you were flying when you told all of the custom agencies was that you won an in New Zealand in a contest? Like, that would be like, New Zealand would be like, no, you cannot come here.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm assuming she lied.
Yeah.
And then, I guess her plan was, I think it seemed like she was under the assumption that it was kind of a turnkey thing. Like, she could go, enjoy the inn, own the inn, and then the existing people would run it.
Yeah. Which is also like sketchiness on her level of like, not like, obviously they were lying about pictures on the internet, but like there was no conversation about who was to meet her there and if they had staff and if it was running or like, I don't know. There would have been a digital footprint if it was an operational B&B.
Yeah, you'd think so. At the very least, like a Google Maps listing or something. Yeah. No, it was very sketchy. Yeah. So then she gets there and immediately, like she's exhausted and gets into the house and the door falls off and the goat and whatever. And then she just gets on the bed and sleeps in those sheets and continues to sleep in those sheets.
Yeah. And I'm like, are they clean? Are they 40 years old? Like, what?
Yeah.
That's so gross.
Because like nothing was drop clothed or anything. Like all the furniture was just open. So like the goat was in the bed, I'm quite sure.
Yeah. And like
that's the ickiest part of the whole thing.
Well, there's that. And then like I know that the kitchen tap is like broken and doesn't work, and when the water comes out it's all brown. I'm like, do you have a working toilet? Like, what's happening here?
Or like, what's the, is it so rural that it's on septic?
It's on septic.
Entirely possible.
Yeah, like, are you able to wash your hands after interacting with the goat that's in your bed? Like, I just
yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit like, maybe
you kind of just got to get like hand wave around that.
Yeah, obviously we're looking too into it, but I'm like, there's just parts of this that I can't look away. It's a little harder than some other things. So,
yeah, for sure. But then she starts to meet all this various small town people. So the first people she meet are, I'm assuming they're a couple. It's like implied but not explicit, but it's like pretty heavily implied.
Yeah.
There's a Maori guy and then a Pākehā white guy run the local cafe, and they're adorable. They're so sweet. They're so nice. They're just like so welcoming of her to town and so snarky. I love it a lot. And there's like the guy that's always in the coffee shop watching sports and cheering loudly. He's amazing. And there's just like so many New Zealand stereotypes all in one. It's like the super welcoming, the sports obsessed.
Yeah. And then the hardware store guy is just like
the norm.
The way that he like talks and stuff. I'm like, were you in the behind the scenes footage of Lord of the Rings? Because you sound really familiar to me. So maybe you were there also.
Yeah. Actually, the most unrealistic New Zealand thing is that his name is Norman and she calls him Norman. He's like, I've never had a nickname.
Which doesn't make sense
Everybody
at all.
Has nicknames.
Yeah. Okay. They shorten everything down there.
Yep. So they're really cute. And then there's the nursery, like the plant shop lady, and then there's also the very fancy B&B owner lady who's the nosy prying lady in town. Yeah, they're all really great. I love them a lot.
And there's a haka, because of course there is.
Of course there is, with little kids. It's so cute.
And then at some point, she eats a snag on a piece of white bread, and even as a vegetarian, and I'm like, yeah, do it, girl.
A snag is a sausage.
Yeah. But also, like, the thing is, like, you could tell in the trivia, you could see that she only eats the bread because the actress is a vegetarian. But the fact that there's no comment, like as an American in a cheesy rom-com, there's no comment of like, what is this weird food? She just like accepts it and eats it. And I'm like, yes, this is what I'm looking for in my movies.
Also, even if you're not vegetarian, because when I was in New Zealand, I was not vegetarian, especially like when I lived there, and the sausages there taste so weird because they all have like mutton and lamb and stuff in them.
Oh yeah,
so they're so odd tasting.
A lot of lambs down there.
Sort of gamey tasting often.
Ooh.
Yeah, not
plus,
great.
Plus, it is just like white bread with nothing on it.
Yeah, usually there's
put stuff on it.
Ketchup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they're also their ketchup tastes differently. Anyway,
it does. Everything's different, but that's okay. Let's go, please.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's weird down there, but I love it so much. And
yeah,
also we interviewed a Kiwi for Whale Tales this week, and so it's just been one of those weeks that I'm like, what if we just moved to New Zealand? If this lady can do it, why can't we?
Pretty much. That's the summation of this.
Yeah.
My big observation as somebody who's like, adjacent to green living things is all of her green things are like, buy this, use this brand new material that's like more sustainable. Mm-hmm. Like everything is so greenwashed and commercial, like green, like it's all very how much money, like not green and sustainable. It's like green in quote marks.
Yeah, like she's got solar panels, which is fine. Like all the stuff.
Yeah, no, the solar panels is fine. It was more the like buying new hardware, buying new this, buying new that, using some like certain kind of insulation that had to come from Australia. And
which I'm like, so then it's
not reusing building materials,
yeah.
And so everything was having to get shipped. And so I think a lot of this is also, it's less obvious, but it is implied. It's like she learns to sort of embrace using what you've got, which as an island nation is a very New Zealand thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was an observation. Yeah,
it's a little bit weird because it's not the classic big city girl of like, oh, I'll just buy all this because I can order it. Like it is that, but like with a green twang, so she's fine. And I'm just like,
yeah, it's more subtle than normal, but because she has both the like small town and also New Zealand learning experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and a lot of it though is it's not really to drive her like growth and understanding. It's to drive the conflict between her and the guy.
Yeah.
Because he's, he lives there. He lives in his, like, grandma's old cottage that he's fixed up with, like, secondhand stuff. And, yeah. But really, my only observation is, why am I not there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they mostly filmed it in, Thames, which is kind of near Auckland. But it is not meant to be that close to Auckland. It's meant to be, like, a day's bus ride from Auckland, closer to Wellington. So, out in the middle of nowhere. But, they filmed it in Thames.
Yeah, my only other observation is about the letters, which, again, don't really go anywhere, but it does help her kind of relate to the house a bit, because they're from the old lady who is the ghost, whatever. And my only note about that is that it's the exact same plot as a Babysitter's Club mystery book. So...
adorable.
War, letters in a wall, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
And like,
of course,
as a person who's, read books and about that kind of stuff, did it not seem strange to you guys that there were both sets of letters in the wall?
That was,
and then you're like, oh, I hope that he survived. And I'm like, where did the letters, how did he get the letters back into the wall?
How did the letters come back from World War I Europe if the guy didn't come back also?
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I don't think Return to Sender was working that well in World War I.
Even N.M. Martin got that part figured out. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was odd. But it was nice that they actually got married. Like, I think the mystery should have just been that, like, what happened to them. Mm-hmm. But, yeah.
Yeah.
So cute. Okay. Tropes.
Oh my god, there's so many.
So many.
So we start with this one that we haven't written down, but it is, after watching The Proposal, it is almost very similar. She starts, and also something else recently. She starts on a Peloton, or a fake Peloton machine.
Yeah, it's like a VR Peloton.
Yeah, and like she's exercising and she's like, I love outside, except she's on her dumb bike in her
apartment. Yeah.
Not to say that exercise bikes are dumb, but you know what I mean. No. Just this entire thing of like, she's too busy to go outside, basically, is the thing. And like, that's the proposal is how that starts as well, of Sandra Bullock on her bike reading, because she's so busy and important.
She loves the earth and the environment and the outdoors, but she's, using this. Yeah, she doesn't go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shockingly, she works for shitty dude bros in her random and vague career. Yeah, she like works with a whole bunch of frat bros who, it's like, oh, so-and-so got to do the presentation instead of you because his dad's an investor, blah, blah, blah. But then, they also get locked out of their building.
And then she's like, why are you 45 minutes late? And he's like, didn't you check Slack? And she's like, oh, no, I didn't. I'm like, okay, well,
that's her fault.
Then that's your problem. Like, learn how messaging works.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, and her ex is... Like, there's a weird way that they worked him. I don't really get it, because he is the signs are all there. Classic douchey ex-boy who's like, you can't have carbs, I ordered you a salad, and like all this bullshit.
Yeah.
And then he's like completely the opposite when he comes to New Zealand. It's weird, and I am annoyed by the entire storyline.
I guess he's like a bad boyfriend, but he's also like not trying to still be her boyfriend when she doesn't want.
No, that's true. He's not,
because he also didn't want to be with her at the beginning. Like, she was like, oh, like maybe we could talk about moving in. He's like, oh, no.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't think he was also that into her. I don't really know where they were together, but
no, me either.
Yeah.
And then this one's a twofold. So she's got a terrible best friend with terrible advice, like rock where you walk, kind of like terrible stuff, who's in a cliche bad marriage, and just like, shut up, lady. Yeah. But then they also talk about it in a yoga class, which again is like a weird trope of these kinds of movies, of like having a conversation in an exercise class, especially yoga. And this one really annoys me because they start in a headstand and they're talking, and then they come out and they do some more poses, which are also like insane. They're like headstand, like up dog, and then something else, and then like they're up and down like 17 times. I'm like, who's teaching this yoga class? Not Adrian, obviously. But so she does a headstand and then all this other stuff, but then she can't do a tree pose, and I'm like, okay, what is happening?
Yeah,
like, you can do a tree if you can do a headstand. Anyway, it's a weird like yoga quirk thing that's bothering me, but it still bothers me. So
yeah, okay. Trope of travel is she's taking a 13-hour overseas flight and then 3 buses, and she's doing it all in heels
and jeans, skinny jeans, and just and
ugh, no thank you. Like, I can see wanting to like look nice, but there's looking nice, and then there's the practicality of taking 3 buses with a suitcase.
Well, and there's also
heels.
like taking the flight and then getting changed when you get there. Because you're going to want to get changed anyway, because you're gross.
Ugh, gross. Yeah. Also, so risky to take a 13-hour flight and then assume that you can just get right on a bus and not miss the bus because your flight's late.
Not miss the bus, or you're stuck in a customs line.
Or also, because the bus doesn't go from the airport, it probably goes from the city.
Somewhere else.
From my experience, which is, not as recent as this movie, but taking buses in New Zealand, delightful. Everybody's lovely, but they don't go to and from the most convenient locations like airports.
Yeah, which is also why that she ends up taking this bus to this town, but it's a kilometer away from the town, which is also weird.
It's not that weird, actually, because the town's often not on the main road.
No, I know, but it's like, it's weird that the town has roads. Like, it's not a...
Oh, that the bus doesn't go in. Yeah, because it's such a small town.
Because it's such a small town, and they're like... and
the bus goes on the motorway.
Yeah, she gets there, and they're like, oh, did you just get off the bus? Like, it's a normal thing, but the bus is a kilometer away. So, anyway, and there's no, signs. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, that was weird. And then, she expects there to be Lyft or Uber, even though she barely has cell reception.
It's such a lazy trope that is in all small-town movies now, and I'm just like, this woman was going to pitch her fancy green thing to all of these dude bros, and she thinks that there's Lyft here? I just... Yeah. Do you know that you're in a different country at all?
No, that's... Yeah. That is part of the problem.
Yeah. And then her suitcase rolls down a hill and gets hit by the guy's car. In a classic meet cute.
Classic.
He sees her bra.
Classic.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it gets, like, thrown up onto the hood of his meter car. Or his ute, actually. And then, there's the sassy gay friends, the cafe owners. They're so sassy. So lovely.
Yeah.
Oh my
I love
god.
them.
Anytime they talk, they were like, would you like the kumara soup or whatever? And I'm like, yes, please. Because, yeah, kumara is a squash. And it's very good. Yeah. And then, yeah, all the other sort of generic small town tropes of like the old lady that works in the city hall and everybody knows everybody and yeah.
And her friend who works at the nursery, like,
Yeah.
ends up falling in love with the town doctor, you know.
Yeah, oh man, they're so cute. I forgot about
And, like,
them.
and her friend and also one of the cafe guys and also the love interest are all on the volunteer fire brigade. And yeah.
Yeah, so cute.
And then, then there's the Airbnb lady who's, like, the snarky, sneaky, uptight competition, like, not, like, the mirror of what you could be, of, like, this person's so perfect and you're so not, but, like, kind of, like, that is the trope character of, like,
Yeah,
this
person knows how to have an inn. And like, had been promised the inn by the owner, and then when the owner died, her grandson did this sketchy raffle thing. So yeah, there's also a lot of montages. There's construction montages, there's like
falling in love montages,
montages, the beach montage. Oh man, so many good montages.
Yeah, and they're enemies to lovers, and like it's unclear to me why they're enemies. She's just like a snarky person who had a bad experience.
Yeah,
and she doesn't, and then she's like, now I hate him.
Well, there was that, and then she didn't want to be like told how to do things or what to do, so it was like pushing against the sort of mansplaining, which, considering the kind of guys that she was exposed to.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Previously.
As opposed to the guy who, like, knows how to fix taps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he is a sad widower, kind of.
Yeah.
He seems to be mostly okay with it, but, like, it's still, like, every time it's brought up, it's like, cue the sad music, cue the sad puppy dog eyes, cue, like, we can't say that your girlfriend died without everyone being, like, having, like, a sad Full House moment, like, with violins and stuff.
And he doesn't want to fall in love again.
Yeah, but then for the rest of the time, he's, like, happy and, like, da-da-da. So, you know, he's not Tom Hanks in Sleepless in Seattle, but I would say he's more Jude Law. He's not super sad that his wife's dead until someone brings it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lindsay put this one in, but I think it's so cute. Grouting together is the new golfing with your arms around the woman. They get very close to each other physically while grouting, and it's adorable.
Yeah. And then they have a random sing-along, which is never understood why they're in the car together at all, and then they just find a radio station and sing a song, which is fine. It's
like
just
they're
one
like
of those
driving
things.
between the inn and the construction store.
Yeah.
Just running errands. Of course they fall on top of each other when something in the house breaks. Yeah, of course, because how else do you get so close to each other?
Exactly.
And then basically, is it in the same scene where he then takes his shirt off?
I think so. Like, she's like, "Oh, I'll get you a drink," and then he's like, "Oh, I'm so sweaty,
so hot and sweaty," and then also half naked.
Yep. And then there's a fire because he's conveniently on the fire brigade, and he goes in and to rescue a person, and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm in love with him because he's in a fire." So that's the only way you can realize you're in love with somebody.
Yep, pretty much. Her ex shows up randomly, although it's not random because the meddling, competitive B&B owner invited him on her phone, which I'm like, so he got a text from her that he hadn't heard from her in a while, just saying, come here, and he did without saying
anything
where?
else. Yeah.
Time? Location? Asking for details? Yeah.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah. And then everything's fine. They don't sell the inn to the Australian.
No.
And her ex goes away, and he shows up, and because of the letters in the wall is what the reasoning, he writes her a love letter, but it's very, like, persuasion-y. I'm like, you're standing right next to her. I understand the gesture, but just use your words.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little awkward, but it also makes sense. Like, it would be unbearable awkward if there hadn't been the letters in the wall.
Totally.
But because it was a tie-in to that, it, like, almost makes sense. And I still like it.
Yeah,
and it's the kind of thing that would, like, if you read it in a book, it would make sense, but if he actually said it out loud directly to her, it would be too much.
Weird.
So, like, they had to do something.
Yeah, I think the problem I have with it is that she reads it all while looking at him, and he's, like, giving her love eyes, and then he's like, then she's like, does this mean you like me? Like, the way that she reacts to it afterwards, I'm like, girl,
Yeah.
maybe read the room. Like, that's my bigger problem with her.
For sure. For sure. Okay. Bechdel test. Lindsay, does this movie pass the Bechdel test?
Yes, because she's doing making an inn thing, and she talks to her friend, nursery and lady, and also B&B lady about the inns a lot. So good job, team. Okay.
Okay. Let's make a pie.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got 2 New Zealand ones. Should we combine them together?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because, Lindsay's got Kiwis are the best, and I said New Zealand slang. Because there's so much New Zealand slang, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so New Zealand slang, or just, how about New Zealand things are great.
Yes. Great plan.
New Zealand, or just New Zealand in general.
Yeah. New Zealand.
50?
Yeah. Because like this movie would not be a movie we would be talking about if this wasn't in New Zealand.
Yeah, or just somewhere. Yeah.
The goat.
Yeah. The goat? Like 20? 15?
Yeah. 20, I think. Because
20.
it is a through line, and it's very conveniently helps them get close. And it is funny at times as well. We didn't actually mention it, but the love interest in this looks so much like Dan Stevens. It's a little bit weird sometimes. He's very attractive, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, agreed. I was going to look up who he actually is. Because he's not really in a huge amount of other things. His name is Adam Demos. And... oh, yeah, he's from Wollongong, which is in Australia. Yep. So, yeah, I'm sure that was controversial. He's been in some other rom-com-y things. He was in Home and Away, which is an Australian soap, obviously. But yeah, not a huge one.
Hemsworth's Arthur in Home and Away?
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that's been going for 45 years.
Yeah. So, yeah.
20?
Yeah, so, pardon? 20?
20.
Yeah, I think 20% is good for attractive Australian actor man. And that leaves us with 10% checks.
Yeah, everybody's writing checks. Like, they're writing it like it's 1985 and we're watching Wall Street, and they're like, here's my offer. And they write a check and, like, hand it over on a piece of folded up. And I'm like, what is this? I understand that it's rural New Zealand, but the internet
like, you can't
exists.
write a check for the... like, you shouldn't take a check for the amount that an inn would be for.
I know, like, the B&B lady shows up at the beginning and is like, here, I'm going to buy your inn. Here's this check. And I'm like, what? That's not how things work.
No, you'd have to have a bank draft or something.
Yeah, and then the fancy Australian lady who's going to come to buy the inn is like, here is my offer on your inn, and writes her a check and hands it to her, but then the next day they go to the bank to sign the papers. So it's, like, I don't understand why.
The second one might not have been a check. It might have been...
it looked like a check. I was looking for it at that point because it was weird. This was the thing that was happening.
And I feel like they also, like, she writes checks at the... somewhere.
Yeah,
also.
somewhere. And it's just, like, in general, it's weird. Also, she doesn't have a New Zealand bank account, so what's she's going to do with that piece of paper? And, yeah, the whole thing is strange. It's 2019. Why are we using checks?
I don't know. So yeah, that's a delightful pie.
Yeah.
With, kumara curry. Delicious. Okay. Lindsay, what's next for them?
I don't know. Like, they're very adorable and they do bond beforehand. I don't think she's lived in New Zealand long enough to...
or lived in a small town,
run an inn as her job as opposed to being a fancy generic businesswoman.
Yeah.
Who's, like, very motivated, very workaholic-y. Like, I can't go outside because I'm still busy. Like, that kind of thing. And then
she's got an adjustment aside from being in a relationship.
Yeah, so, like, different relationships, small town, different job that's way slower, even though it's still busy. And literally on the other side of the world to everything that she knows in a country that is so very different to America. Yeah. So I think, I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah. It is a lot.
Yeah.
And then what's next for us? Because, oh man, I'm so excited for February.
I know. We've been planning it for like a year.
Pretty much.
Very random and exciting. So we're doing EGOT month, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
And probably not the last one, if people keep winning EGOTs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we looked at the list of all of the EGOTs and picked movies that each involve an EGOT winner.
Yeah, so this happened after we did Whoopi Month, because that's obviously what sparked this. So we will be doing How Stella Got Her Groove Back first.
Yes.
And then we will be doing Dreamgirls. Yeah. And on the Patreon.
Oh my god. We're most excited about the Patreon. Yeah. And you should be too.
We will be honoring EGOT winner Mel Brooks with Robin Hood Men in Tights. The best rom-com of all time.
Indeed. I'm very excited.
Me too.
I'm also very excited for Patrick Stewart to make his podcast debut with us.
Yeah. Remember how we called Patrick Swayze Patrick Stewart in our first ever episode? And he hasn't been back since.
No.
How exciting.
Alas, alas. Well, anyways, that brings us to the end of this episode. You can leave us a rating or a review wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find us on social media. We're at Charts and Hearts Podcast.
You can also heart to our website, chartsandhearts.com, where you can submit your suggestions for rom-coms and tropes for us to add to the list. Are there other New Zealand movies? We'll take Aussie movies also that are good rom-coms. Tell us more EGOT winners that are in rom-coms, of course.
Indeed.
And yeah, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/chartsandheartsclub. This month for Netflix Movie Month, we did Always Be My Maybe, which is also us talking about a place we know very well because it was filmed at our houses, basically.
Pretty much.
But it's charming, and we have a fun conversation about Keanu Reeves because that's what we like to talk about.
As always.
Yeah.
We would love to know your thoughts on this movie. Do you also want to move to New Zealand and not open it in? That's way too many people.
No,
but,
that's too many things.
Yeah. But anyways, let us know your thoughts. And in the meantime, I've learned that the Kiwi way of life is about fixing up what's not working and treasuring what's worth saving.
No, that's nice.
So nice. Okay, bye.
Bye.